Hey everyone, J-Rob Place here, and today's video is going to be covering the fourth encounter of the Salvation's Edge raid. The encounter is called Verity, and it is a mechanics encounter with mainly add clear, but it's like a special purpose add clear. It's a complicated encounter, and it's a puzzle encounter, just like the Last Wish Vault, but it's different in the sense that it's got its own very different mechanics that we've never seen before. And me personally, I think it's some of the most cool mechanics that I've ever experienced. There's just the variety of the way that they fit together and the whole idea behind them, kind of tying them into the lore. It's a pretty awesome encounter. I know a lot of people hate it because it's hard to understand, but this guide, hopefully, if you watch it to the end, will make it nice and clear exactly what the goal is. And every time you're in there, you won't even have to think about it. You'll just reflexively do what you need to do. And of course, I got a couple of tricks for LFGs to make sure that it's less complicated for people that don't know each other. But everybody that watches this video should be able to get through this encounter as long as everybody on the team, of course, is the same page and working as a team, because it's a team situation. If you have somebody on the team that's being salty or not listening or not taking accountability for making little mistakes and not fixing them on the next runs, that's what kills a lot of teams, is somebody not being able to do certain things. Everybody should be ready to do one part of this encounter. You can't have people sitting out. You technically can have somebody who's on the inside kill themselves and bring themselves out, but that means that everybody else needs to really know how to dissect outside or have the calculator ready, for example, which is what we're going to go over, because you can only really afford to have one person res a couple of times before you run out of reses in the outside. So let's go over a quick overview of how the mechanics work. In this raid, we've been accustomed so far to shapes, triangle, circle, and square up to this point, and all of it's been leading to this point in the encounter. On the back wall, when you first enter, you're going to see those shapes being projected onto the wall, triangle, circle, square. And it's very important to look at that wall because that wall is going to be giving you directions on what you need to do during the encounter to balance everything out. Everybody's going to be split up in this encounter, 3 people on the outside, 3 people on the inside, and then 3 people on the inside are in their own version of the room all by themselves. Now, normally most guides are going to start off telling you specifically, let's talk about the inside, then the outside. This guide's going to talk about the outside first because the outside is important to the people that are inside. And if the outside doesn't get things right and doesn't get things right in a quick enough time, the outside is going to be fumbling around trying to fix their shapes, and the inside are going to be ready to go, and you're going to fail the encounter. So I like to start with the outside. I like to train the outside first. And really, the outside has been trivialized because there's been a lot of great developers making calculators for this outside encounter. And I'm going to be using the calculator made by Jimsalad, number 9255, to explain how the outside works in this situation. Now, before I do that, just to make sure that everybody knows what the goal is to make sure that your shapes on the inside make a certain shape that's going to match the shapes on the outside statues. And the 3 statues that I'm referring to are not the 6 where you begin, but the 3 toward the back of the room. As you come from the entrance toward the back of the room, you're going to see that there is 3 statues, and on the inside rooms, they're going to be each holding a specific shape. And one of them's going to have a triangle, one's going to have a circle, and one's going to have a square. And you want to call those out from left to right. And so now that we know that that's what it looks like, we're going to actually then try to make keys for those people. And the keys for those people to get out, and by I mean get out, there's going to be a giant kind of a glass wall that's shattered that's preventing these players from leaving. The keys are going to be the 2 shapes that their statue doesn't have. So let's use the calculator to show exactly what that's going to look like. So let's say we go into the encounter and the order is from left to right: square, circle, and triangle. That means the person whose statue is on the left is in a room that needs to end up with circle and triangle on their back wall, being projected on their back wall. The person in the middle, whose circle, they're going to be holding a circle, is going to be needing a square and a triangle on their back wall to get out. And then the person on the right, who is a triangle, needs a square and a circle to get out. It's going to always be the opposite of what their statue is. That way there's no confusion. And these are the keys that need to be made on the outside for the people. But it's never that simple, right? Bungie threw a situation at us where we're going to make sure that they can't just say, okay, I have these 2, let's make these 2 on the outside. No, the way that you make the shapes on the outside are not going to be 2D shapes, they're going to be 3D shapes. And the way that we know what shapes these 2 shapes are going to become to make a key is because we have this chart here pulled up, and you can see here I have it on my snipping tool. So you can see that circle and circle are going to make a sphere, circle and square are going to make a cylinder, essentially wrapping the square around a circle. Long way is going to make a cylinder, a 3D shape. 2 squares make a rectangle. A square and a triangle make a cone, so circle at the bottom, triangle on top that makes the cone. two triangles have turned into a pyramid, and then what's left over is the square and the triangle to make a prism. And so that's essentially how these shapes interact with each other. And to explain it kind of roughly, since we're going to be using the calculator, you don't really have to know exactly how it works, but ideally, if you get stuck and you make a mistake, you want to know how to fix it. So this is just for people who are getting more advanced. You don't have to worry too much about paying attention to this. If you're not trying to be advanced, you're just like, hey, I'm just going to use the calculator to make it easy. But essentially, if I wanted to make a different shape out of a cylinder and a cone, I would take and trade these two shapes here, this square and this triangle, and then that would trade the shape. The cylinder would turn into a cone and the cone would turn into a cylinder, because now the circle and square is down here and the square and circle is up there. So by putting a shape into a statue that's got a 3D shape, you're telling the game I'm going to take that shape from that shape that I have and move it to this other shape, and I'm going to trade it with the shape that I took out of that one and put it into that one. And so that's going to be how that works. And so now that we're on that, now that we're kind of on the same page of what it looks like, and you kind of got a chart, you can find this chart online, but you don't necessarily need this if you're just using the calculator. So let's go back to the calculator and let's put in an example. So let's do a real example from the video. So in the video, I start off with triangle. So I'm going to reset, circle, and square. And that's what I have in the video. Now, also in the video for the dissection, I have a cone on the left, a cone in the middle. And as you see here, the calculator already knows that I have a cube only. So it's going to be eliminating these things that are not going to give you a proper solution. It kind of has a way to make sure that the only solutions you can get are real ones. You can't accidentally click on something and say, oh, I clicked on the wrong thing, that messed me up. It's going to eliminate based on process that this has to be a cube, and that way you don't get screwed up in your calculations. Now this calculation is an easy one. Sometimes there's calculations where there's a third line and you have to pay attention to it. Now, the way that you get these shapes, and it's important to understand how it works, is the three knights that are there are set up to where the shapes are in the same place every time, because the knights spawn in the same place every time. The knight on the left is actually going to always drop a circle. The knight in the middle is going to always drop a triangle, and the knight on the right is going to always drop a square. And it's important to know those things because that way you know where to go to grab the symbol that you need to put into these statues. And so this is set up where it's left statue, middle statue, right statue from the outside. So I'm going to start out by killing the middle knight and getting his triangle. I'm going to put that into the left statue. Then I'm going to go all the way over to the right knight, kill him, and get the square. I'm going to put that in the statue by the right knight because it's a square. So now that I've done that, the shapes are going to change. Outside, I'm going to have instead a cylinder, a cone, and a prism. So I need to do one more step to get the keys right. So now I'm going to kill the third knight, which is the circle knight. Now here's where it becomes a little difficult on the dissector, because as soon as you kill your third knight, and the third knight's always going to be a part of the next solution, you're going to end up getting unstoppables. What I did to keep things straight is I went and stood by the statue that I needed to put that symbol in so I didn't lose place. So I would either stand kind of to the left or to the middle, and I would kill that left ogre, leaving the right ogre to my teammates. And I would say, okay, I'm by this middle statue, I need to put this circle in the middle statue. So now that I've done that, 3 more knights are going to spawn. We kill the ogres, and then I'm going to get the right knight and kill the right knight, which is a square, and put that in his statue that's next to him, because that's the statue that it needs. All of them are going to change, and I'm going to go and I'm going to double check. I have a cylinder on the left, prism in the middle, cone on the right. And again, to recap, the reason why this is important is the circle and the triangle make a cone, the square and the triangle make a prism, and the circle and the square make a cylinder. So these keys on the inside and the keys on the outside are correct. And so that's how we know on the outside, using a calculator, that we're good, and that we don't have to worry about anything. You can tell them, hey guys, on the outside you're good, take your time, get your symbols right, because on the inside is what they're going to be doing next. So now I'm going to be showing an example from the inside, and I'm going to also try to get the calculator up in the corner so that everybody can see what's happening in this scenario. And so when we get into it and we're looking at it, it's going to be square, circle, and triangle with me holding the triangle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kill the knights on the inside, and the knights are going to drop the shapes that I have on the wall. So I have a square now, and I'm going to take that to the square person. Now the reason why I do that is because we're going to try to get balanced to where everybody has the same shape twice on the wall that they're holding. So now that I understand that I have that situation, I'm going to say, okay, I've given the square to the square person. The circle person is likely going to have theirs already. I picked up my square, and it was kind of an accident, kind of on purpose, because I was just in my mode. But essentially, I knew that since I had a square, I could have picked it up because somebody was going to give me my square, and then I was going to end up with two squares, and I already have my square to distribute. So I was doing a little bit advanced in the film, in the scenario, but the idea is that you want to have what I see here, which was two triangles on the wall oscillating back and forth to each other. As you see, I gave away one triangle, and the triangle stopped changing. That means that I only have one shape on my wall. I don't have two shapes. And so the idea is to get everything balanced to where you have the two shapes on the wall that are yours. And the reason why you want to have the two shapes on the wall that are yours is because now it makes it easy for everybody to distribute those shapes. It's a little more chaotic if you're just trying to say, I need this, back and forth. You can do that, of course, if you make a mistake. And I'll show you how that looks, obviously, in a second once we get it done. But I just want to make sure that everybody knows the baseline, what the goal is on the inside. The baseline on the goal on the inside is to take the shape that you get from your knight when you first get in there and give it to the statue who needs that shape, and you can see that statue holding that shape. So if I had a circle, I'm going to take it to the circle statue. If I drop a square, I'm going to take it to the square statue. If I have a triangle, I'm not going to pick that up right away because I want to make sure I don't accidentally make a mistake and somebody might need one of my triangles later on, and then I already have one and I can't pick up another one in a situation accidentally and end up with a 3D shape. Because if you pick up two shapes in there, you're going to end up with a 3D shape, and if you have the wrong 3D shape, you're screwed. You got to start over, or you have to kill yourself and somebody has to get in there and fix it for you, because that's an option too. That's another way to fix things in an LFG, is that if you pick up the wrong shape, if you get thrown off, you can always just jump in the hole at the back of the room or rocket yourself, and it'll kill you. They'll res you outside. Somebody else will get pulled in that doesn't have a 3D shape, and you can fix it like that. So again, don't lose your head if something bad happens. Don't worry about if you die in the room as part of the encounter. That's a mechanic. If as far as like if you're not getting yourself killed by ads, of course, because you are going to end up getting quote unquote killed by the witness, and I'll get in that in a little bit. But the idea that when you get into the rooms is you want to start off in the three phases. So there's the gathering phase and the distribution phase. The gathering phase is where everybody's grabbing the two symbols that's on the ground and giving them to the statues that need them. And again, you don't want to pick up your own symbol in this phase until you see the wall has your two symbols. That means that you're ready to distribute, because now you're only going to get triangles from your knights, and then you can take those triangles and give one to one of your friends and one to the other of your friends. You want to make sure that you don't just lose position of them. In my case, my two people were in the middle and the left. Sometimes they can be on the sides. So you want to make sure that you know exactly where your statues that you are not are. And so that way you can give them to the two people who you're not. That's basically it, because you can see what your statue looks like, what their statue looks like, especially if you follow my advice later on and how to make sure that everybody's very distinct from each other in this encounter, because that helps. You'll be able to clearly understand that that's what's going on. And so now that we've got the gathering phase done, meaning that you've taken the shapes in your room and given them to who they belong to, square to square, circle to circle, triangle to triangle, everybody's got their double shapes. They'll say, okay, now it's time to distribute. And again, what that means is that you're going to take the shapes that you have. So if I'm triangle, I'm going to take triangles that drop from the knights, because they're only going to drop triangles, and I'm going to give one to my friend and one to the other friend. Now what's going to happen is they're going to get a triangle from me, and then the other people are going to get a circle from them, and I'm going to get a square and a circle from the other two. So now we have our keys, because they can't give me triangles. I have all the triangles, so all they can give me is a circle and a square. And so now I've got my key made, because my circle and my square, that's going to give me a specific shape, which is cylinder, to get out, and then they're going to have the other shapes. So the triangle and the square, they're going to make theirs. The circle and the triangle, they're going to make theirs, their cone, to get out. And then the outside person is going to dissect, and they're going to be dissecting in the background. And once they've got the key made, all we have to do is walk through the glass, and we'll join our friends on the outside. And if you do that before the imminent end timer runs out, then you get into the next phase. So I hope that was clear enough. I hope everybody understands. Just again, to recap, that you're going to gather, get your own symbol on the wall, and double check it before you do anything else. You're going to check in with your teammates. Hey, we have the symbols. Are you ready to distribute? Let's distribute. And then we're going to give the symbols out to the two people who are not us, and everybody's going to have their key then. At that point, you kill your two knights. You pick up the two symbols that are not your symbols together to make a 3D shape on your screen, and then you're going to walk out the door, or essentially walk out the glass wall, to join your teammates. Now, if you make a mistake on the inside, it's not a big deal, because the whole idea of doing the gathering and getting everybody to have the same symbol is to avoid chaos of saying, I need this, I need this. But once you've done this encounter a few times and you're kind of getting used to the people and whose voices they are and what they need, you actually don't need to do that particular step. You can actually just technically give out the keys to people if you know who needs what. So, for example, going back to the calculator that we're looking at, you're going to say to your people, like, let's say I'm the triangle, and I accidentally picked up a triangle, and I'm like, man, I messed up. I picked up my own symbol. Who needs a triangle? And so the person who is, let's say, left person and middle person are going to look at their walls and say, I don't have a triangle on my wall, give it to me. So let's say middle has square, circle. I'm going to give them my triangle. Now, for a second, their wall is going to say square, circle, triangle because they have three shapes. But then they're going to give me their circle. I'm going to say, all right, give me your circle. And so they're going to give me their circle. And so now I should technically have circle and triangle on the wall, and then I can pick up a triangle and give a triangle to the left person. That's going to get rid of my triangles. He's going to give me his square, and then now we're going to be fixed. Now I'm going to have circle square. Middle's going to have triangle square as long as the left person didn't make a mistake and gave it to the right person, and then he's going to have circle in my triangle. So it can easily be fixed as long as you're always keeping in your head that the end result is to have what's on the wall is the opposite of what I'm carrying. As long as you know if I'm a triangle person, I need to end up with a circle and square on my wall. Let me call for that. I'm a middle person. I need to end up with a triangle and a square on the wall. Let me call for that. If I am a square person, I need circle and triangle. Let me call for that. So that's essentially simplifying how that works. If you can get advanced enough that that's what you have in your head as an inside person, and you have three people that are like that, you technically don't even need to gather. Although I always recommend doing it because it simplifies things. But you'll never fail this encounter because you'll know how to fix it, no problem. You're like, oh yeah, I just need this symbol from you. I just need this symbol from you. Just figure it out, kill a bunch of stuff until the symbols drop. Make sure you're picking up the right symbols. Now that we're fixed, let's just pick up our two symbols, which is our quote unquote key. And as long as the dissect guy does his job on the outside, like I showed you guys here, then you'll be fine. So that solves a lot of the problems right there of the LFGs as far as doing the shapes, is how we're going to fix this. What happens if somebody dies? How do we do this? Again, as long as everybody knows what's going on and checks the wall, you can always say, well, my wall is screwed up, but I'm going to give you this shape because you need it. You're going to give me this shape because I need it to make my key, and then you'll be fine. But again, following the steps where you gather, everything is the same, and then distribute makes it so much easier. You can do it almost without comms. And then the calculator, of course, that we're using for the outside person, for the dissect person, is also going to make it so easy that you don't even need comms. So I hope I described that okay for everybody and everybody was able to follow along. I really hope the visual of the calculator kind of up in the corner that you can kind of see what everything's going to look like once everything is set up helped. And you can always, of course, just go into the website when you have some free time and just click around and try to make up combinations so you can see how the sequence is going to work for the calculators. And I'll try it again as I'm going through the when I do the full run of the video. I'll put the calculator up in the corner real small. Hopefully you can still see it, so you can see exactly what I did and how I did it and understand, okay, this is what's going on. And as far as on the tips and tricks section, in a little bit, once I get done talking about the ghost phases, I'm going to go through some of the tips and tricks on how I was able to make use of that calculator and the best way to go about making sure you don't forget where you are in the calculator, forget where your steps are, because that can lead to disaster as well if you forget where you are. And if you only know how to use the calculator and don't know how to do the dissect on your head, you're going to be stuck and you're going to have to be like, all right, we have to start over. So now that we're done with the shapes and everybody knows how to make the proper keys to get out, let's talk about the ghost phase. The ghost phase is important because this is also a place where a lot of teams are going to get ruined. Since people are going to be doing LFGs, they're not going to know who each other are. They're not going to understand the voice tied to the guardian. So this is the genius move that you need to do whenever you set up an LFG to make sure that everybody wins at this stage. You need to talk to everybody and say, hey, I need you guys to put on the craziest thing that you can. And the reason why I say this is because the crazier that you can get, the easier that you are to distinguish. And it's much easier for people when they pick up your ghost to say, okay, I know where this person's at, just looking at their statue, because the statue's not going to perfectly translate what you look like. There's going to be missing pieces of your armor sometimes. And so you may think you have something distinguishable, but you don't. So for a good example was the shoulders on the Crota's end here. They look really cool and spiky, but in the actual statue, all you saw was little rocks floating around. So we were calling this blown out shoulders because the green wasn't showing. Since the green goes away when you take damage, that's exactly what they look like, just little rocks floating. The next thing that you will be looking at is going to be like a crazy head. So something like this, I mean, this is a wild armor piece as it is. Like, this is super outlandish. You can call yourself Hammerhead, Axehead, whatever it is. This is going to make you stand out. Since I was wearing the speaker helmet and I was using healing turrets, I had to do it with my armor. So the armor that I went with was like something like this that looks like you're almost wearing a t-shirt, or something like really skinny. I went with like skinny warlock here. This was a really tight and skinny warlock with the speaker helmet, so they were able to call speaker helmet and know this is me. Titans have outlandish armor, super big heads. We had a warlock wearing the armor from the Lightfall campaign that made them look really thick, so we called them top heavy. And that's how we knew who they were. And then the next thing we did was make sure our ghosts were very distinct. So for ghost, I used a pumpkin ghost, very distinct as well. But you can see there's a lot of ghosts that are going to be available to people, especially if they've been around a long time. You can kind of go through here as you see through the seasons. You got a little lion. Let's see. You can do something like somebody who's using the Tyrant shell. This was the Rasputin ghost. You can have a little Shank shell, so you can say I'm the Shank. The Sunshot shell is a very good one as well. That one stands out. Eris Morn's ghost should probably stand out. The little Lander should probably stand out. And you can go into the see what these are. So like a little lamp shell, the Saint shell, flank shell, the cookie shell, the snow globe. Tex Mechanica is probably a little kind of hard to describe. Warlock and Titan shells, the Hunter shell should be something that you can do. The Lantern shell as well, as long as you know what it's called. The Rabbit stands out, for example. This one here, my friend was using, and we jokingly called this the Butthole shell because it does look like a blown out butthole. So everybody laughed at it, but they knew exactly what it was whenever we called it out. So, here's a little Game Boy shell. Same thing with some of these, like this one here, you can call it the horny shell. So if you have a horn hunter, we had a horn hunter with this one, horny shell, horny hunter, that made it nice and easy. So just go through your shells, same thing here, little Game Boy shell. Find something that stands out that everybody can look at it and say, okay, that's an egg shell. This is a flare shell. This was a phantasmal shell. This one actually wasn't a good one in the end. Our hunter at one point only had this, but it looked so much like some of the other shells, it was really hard to tell. And that's pretty much, I think, some of the better shells. And then, of course, if somebody has like a really generic ghost shell, you can always say, okay, well, this person is the only one with a generic ghost shell. Like if somebody's new and wanting to play, you can say like default ghost, who's default ghost. And so that's going to be how we tell everybody apart, is to pick something outlandish as part of your outfit, pick a ghost that stands out, like my little pumpkin ghost here. And then from there, you can go into the ghost encounters knowing, all right, whose ghost is what. So now that we've gotten everybody on the same page, people have changed their characters around to make sure that they look significantly different from other characters. Hunters don't want to look alike. Warlocks don't want to look alike. You want to be distinct in your own, something that stands out. If you have the ability to chat, you can type in the chat exactly what it is. So me, I'd be Speaker Helmet and Pumpkin Ghost, or T-shirt and Pumpkin Ghost, for example. I think the top heavy person had the Trials Ghost. Obviously, we had the Warlock with the blown out shoulders with the quote unquote butthole ghost, and we had that typed in chat, and everybody knew what it was after a few runs, so that way it was instinctive. And the next thing you want to look at is just positioning. So looking at the statues, starting from the left, we're going to make sure we number them 1 through 6. 1 being the podium to your left when you first start, 6 being the podium to your right when you also first start. And so the way you can remember kind of when you're in your ghost state where those are at is there's a big divider, a big V in the center next to 3 and 4. So that can help orient yourself. If you look for that big V and you're like, okay, that's 3. If it's to the left of that divider, that's 4. If it's to the right of that divider. So you can kind of spit out what you see, because a lot of times people hesitate and they're not going to like spit out what they see, and everybody's like, okay, I've got this ghost who sees it. The reason why it seems like that is because only one player can see your ghost, and it's not you out of the 3 players that die in that first phase. So you want to make sure that you're calling out what you can see, so that the people who have your ghost can do a process of elimination and say, okay, all right, they called these other 2 out, I haven't heard mine, so I'm just going to put mine in the spot that hasn't been called out. So in our case, for example, we had a Crown of Tempest, and then I was Speaker Helmet. If we had the Hunter that was down, which we called Horny Hunter, if somebody called out Horny Hunter 2, Crown of Tempest is 5, and the other open pillar is 3, well then that's where I would go the Speaker Helmet, because that's process of elimination. And so that's how we were able to handle the 3-person ghost situation. Now, that happens randomly. It seems like it may be like a minute or 2 in, but sometimes it's a little sooner. I think it's the further you progress, like if you're really fast, it's going to happen sooner to that team, which is good because that means that you can get it out of the way sooner. And I recommend to the person that's dissecting during that first phase, when the 3 ghost happens, when the witness notices you, pops up, and the 3 people get quote unquote killed in the room, and they're basically cryo frozen while people put your ghost in the podiums. That dissection person, if you're doing the calculator like I was, or just in general, if you're dissecting and you're in between changing the shapes, don't worry about helping with the ghost. Finish your dissection real fast, then pick up a ghost and help if you have time. If not, the other 2 players can handle it. It's not that serious. Those 2 people out there should be able to go back and forth really quickly. And so that's how we handle the 3-person phase, where the 3 people on the inside get killed and then sent out. Now, the 6-person phase, where 5 people die and 1 person is alive, is a whole different thing because you have a limited amount of time and you don't want people talking over each other. So, what you want to do is you want to try to establish where everybody is before you go into the cryostasis. And so, what we did is we picked a spot in the room and we said, every time we go into the 6-person phase, we're going to be here. So, I was on the ramp, somebody else was on the other ramp, and then we had everybody spread out in the middle. And I would grab the person closest to the wall, so goes first, and then call that out. So that way somebody who could see it could say, all right, this is where they are. And so you want to make sure that you know what everybody looks like, the best of your ability. And if you're playing with somebody that you're familiar with, like if you have a couple of friends in your group that you're there with, you want to try to grab their ghosts first because you know what they look like and you know what the call out's going to be, so you can get those out of the way soon. Or if you just happen to be always outside and the outside with somebody and you're more familiar with their character and their ghost, grab those first and do it quickly. Because if you take 4 or 5, 6 seconds to decide whose ghost is where, you may end up wiping because you just didn't have enough time to deposit that last ghost because you were so indecisive on the first ghost pickup. So if you are not good at determining who's who, just pick up the first ghost you see, call out what the ghost looks like, and then say, okay, it's this person's ghost and this person's statue. So if I picked up the Trials ghost, I would say Trials ghost is top heavy in our run, and they'd say, okay, top heavy is in 3, for example. And I had the pumpkin ghost, so they would say, I've got the pumpkin ghost, and that's the speaker helmet. Where's the speaker helmet? And then they would call my statue out, for example. And that's kind of be the best way, I think, for people who are new to each other to sort it out, is to make sure that you know you have a distinctive ghost. You tie that distinctive ghost in with a nickname for that person's armor, and then from there, if you can, put it in chat so that you can just pull the chat up and say, okay, speaker helmet, pumpkin ghost, who has the speaker helmet? Who can see the speaker helmet? And again, just to make sure that it's not confusing, the person who's dead can only see one statue up, and that statue is going to be a statue of somebody who is not them. And another tip is that whenever you get resurrected, you can still see the statue up of the person that you were looking at when you were dead. So, for example, there was one instance where I could see the hunter, and even after being resurrected, I can still see the hunter statue. And if I can go pick up their ghost real quick, I can go take it over to the right statue because that's a statue that I could see, and I can still see it. So that's another tip to help people who are trying to be quick, is that if you saw a statue and got resurrected and you can still see that statue and you know whose ghost it is, go pick up that person's ghost quickly before somebody else does. That way you don't have to call out for where the ghost is, you know where you're going to go. And so that's pretty much the whole encounter. If you can do that 3 times, back to back, all 3 times, creating the key on the outside of the room for the people inside who are going to create their key to get out, and using those 3D shapes, and then coming out. Then, of course, executing the ghost phases properly. You'll get through this pretty quickly. It's only like a 10-minute fight when you do it right the first time. Or eventually, obviously, get everybody on the same page and do it right. So it's not a long fight. The problem is doing it over and over and over again, and people getting worn down, people getting frustrated, one person getting freaked out and making a mistake, or thinking, oh, I messed up the shape on the inside. Now I don't know how to do this. Like, don't worry about it. This section I'm going to go over is going to be just purely advice based on what I saw happening in my own run and how people handled it. I kind of touched on it, some of it in the opening sections where we talked about the shapes and what to do if you make a mistake, but I'm just going to review them again. So on the outside, for example, if you are using the calculator, make sure that you don't get off track. And the way that I avoided getting off track was I made sure to complete 1 line of the calculator at a time. So I would do the first line of the calculator, which tells me where to put the shapes into, and then I would check the shapes and make sure they were good. Then I would go and start working on the second one. The pitfall there is that you can only get 1 shape because there's only 1 knight left, and so you get that knight shape, and then you go and you put it in the statue and get ready to pick up the next knight shape by going over to the side of the room where that knight is. Now, if it's triangle, of course, you're going to have to be in the middle, so just be ready to kill the ogres when they pop in, because there's going to be the 2 unstoppable ogres as they pop in. That way you're already next to the knight that you need to kill, and you don't get confused because you kill the knight right next to you, look at the calculator and say, okay, I was on this line, and this is where I'm going to put the next shape into the statue that it tells me. And it tells you based on direction looking at the statue, so that way you don't get messed up. The left column is going to be always the left statue, middle column always the middle statue, right column always the right statue. And as long as you're using that calculator properly, whether it be on your phone or whether it be on the game itself, on a second screen, or you're tabbing out, whatever you're doing, you want to make sure that at least you're staying in line and you're finishing your dissect in that row before you do anything else. So don't let the ghost phase mess you up as a dissector. Do your dissection first, let your teammates handle the ghosts, and then you grab a ghost if you can and get that done. So I always just grabbing a ghost on the way in. For the people who are inside, when it's time to die, when you're done with your portion and you know you're about to get killed and put into a ghost form, get next to the wall so that way your ghosts are closer to the statues. Don't stand right next to a statue, but at least stand kind of middle of the two podiums so your ghost isn't so far for the people in the front to run and go get, so it's a little less time in traveling to go get your ghost in the middle of all the ads and then come back and try to avoid, obviously you have to try to avoid killing something like one of the knights that could throw off the person who is doing the dissect. And speaking of that, like, please, for the love of God, if you are somebody who is on the outside helping the person who is dissecting clear their grim, your job is just to clear the little flying units. The knights themselves, if they die, their shape will drop someplace where you're not going to know where it's at. And the person dissecting is going to have to run around looking for the shape. Where is it? The shape disappears after a little bit. So don't just go ham killing ads in there. Don't just go ham killing the knights, because that'll really throw off the dissection person. And it'll also waste a lot of time because you got to kill another set of unstoppable ogres just to get your knights back, to get your shape back that you need. It's just an unnecessary waste of time. Just let the person who's doing the dissect kill the knights. The dissection person should be comfortable healing themselves, keeping themselves alive while they're running back and forth through the ads, so that way they can get the dissection done, and that's their only goal, is to focus on the dissection. And of course, on the outside, please help out with the unstoppables. If you're letting the unstoppables run wild, they don't always stun when you're using the sidearm, which is so annoying. That was happened to me a couple times. I switched to Leviathan's Breath specifically because I was tired of unstoppables not stunning after waiting for the overcharge shot and shooting them. Then you got to wait for another overcharge shot and shoot them, and then by then they're stomping you. Just ridiculous. So I switched to Leviathan's Breath. One good Leviathan's Breath arrow would stun them. The pop would damn near kill them. I would shoot them another time and they would be dead. So just another tip is run Leviathan's Breath if you're doing the dissection, because it's just a godsend. It's so much easier to stun the unstoppables, and they just stop right in their tracks. You don't have to worry about them. Now, people on the inside, again, a couple of tips for people on the inside. Try to look at your wall as soon as you get in there before you do anything, before you kill any knights, and see where you're at, because sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll either have your key already or you'll have your double shapes already. Like sometimes you get in there and the person who has triangle is triangle, triangle already. Square is square, square, and circle is circle, circle. That means that you're done. At that point, you don't have to gather and give everybody their shapes because you already have the two shapes that you need. So now you move right into the second step, which is the distribution step. And that means that you're taking your triangle, triangle, and you're giving one to each of your teammates. They're going to do the same thing. And when it's all said and done, you're going to end up with the two shapes that you need to make your key. So at that point, you just wait for everybody to do their thing, kill your knights, pick up both shapes, walk out. So if you get lucky like that, and you either already have your key made, or you already have your double shapes, go into the distribution phase if you already have double shapes. If you have your key made, meaning if I'm triangle and circle and squares on my wall projection, I'm like, hey, I'm good, guys, I'm done. You guys swap the two shapes that you have, and we can get out. So pay attention to what you have once you get really used to it, and that way you don't mess up and have to start all over again. Because if I didn't pay attention and I saw that I had my key made, that's going to make one more step where if everybody else is on the level for me, they can just say, oh, okay, well, like, you've got your key made, we'll swap our two shapes, and now we got our key made, and all we got to do is kill our two ogres and get out of here before the witness kills us again. So that's just some more advanced tips for people on the inside. I think based on the way that this guide is set up, people who have watched this guide are going to be probably more adept at doing the outside stuff, because I have a lot of footage of the outside. I only had to do the inside once or twice in our run, and that was whenever I got sucked in. And fortunately, we had somebody who could dissect on the outside as well. He was actually pretty good at doing it using just his head. I personally just use the calculator because I don't want to make a mistake and cost us time in a run. I can do it in my head, but it's always good to have a backup on the screen next to me to say, yes, I did this right. If I need to fix something, I can always fix it if I get the wrong shapes, because you're close. You're only off by 2 swaps, but it's just more convenient, and it is less stressful to have a calculator running in the background because everybody can keep track of things. That also means that I can help people in the rooms because they gave me their original shapes on the calculator. And if somebody gets lost in there and is like, I don't know what to do, I can look at their shape in the calculator and say, well, you need them to give you this and this. And so the other people in the rooms are like, well, I'll give you one of these and I'll give you one of these. And now they've got their shape and their key made. And I think that's the best way to look at the counter itself, is shapes and keys, because people get really lost in this triangle, circle, square, and what am I doing and why am I sending it over to the other person? And really, they don't think about the end goal is to make a key to get out to get to the front of the room. They just think that we're swapping shapes because that's an encounter mechanic, and they don't know why. I think knowing the why behind the encounter mechanic and knowing why it's important to have your shapes made is going to be important for some people who are analytical to understand, why am I even doing this? Because that's what throws off a lot of people. Like, I'll describe the fight to people and they understand what I'm saying, but they just don't get the why behind it. So I think if you can understand the why behind it, especially like watching the video, for example, you're like, oh, I'm just making a key to get out of here, and my key is the shape that I don't have. So again, if I'm triangle, circle, square is my key. We need to pass these things around until I get a circle, square on my screen, so that my knights drop circle and square when I kill them. And so again, just pay attention to your loop for timing purposes. Killing the 2 knights in your inside room will spawn an ogre. Killing the ogre spawns 2 more knights. And get everybody together on the outside, get in your positions, do your ghost phase by calling out what you have, what you see. If you find that somebody is like scared to call something out, again, you can call out all the other call outs, and the person will be like, all right, I've heard everybody else at these positions. I haven't heard somebody call out the ghost that I have, and the only spot left is 2, for example. I'm going to go put it in 2. So that way you can figure it out for some people who might be a little socially anxious or who are just a little slow in trying to figure out what they look like because of the computer screen they're using. Because sometimes people who have like HDR, for example, they can't really see very well in dark scenes, and it's super dark when you're dead. So the HDR people that are running Destiny are going to like really have a hard time seeing something that's not super distinct. Like if you don't have a really distinct set of arms or legs, the head kind of gets overshadowed a little bit based on the shading. And unless they turn their HDR off for the fight, which is a good example of something that you can do technically to make it easier on you, turn up your brightness, those things can make a difference in the long term trying to get this fight done. And if you're failing because you can't see the character very well, it's definitely on you to make sure that you're adjusting your visuals so that way you can see the character, whether it be, again, turning up your brightness, turning HDR off, changing your resolution, whatever it takes in order to see better. You're going to want to do that too in this fight, just so that you can get it over with, because it sucks being on this fight for hours and hours and hours. Like, I think I probably spent, between the 2 days that I was working on this, getting footage and everything, probably like 8 hours on this fight. Not fun. And it's definitely a drag, especially when you get to the 3rd phase over and over again and somebody freaks out and you die because of just somebody freaking out or getting killed or falling in the hole and dying, and then somebody getting in there and not knowing how to fix their shapes. So try to get everybody on the same page. Hopefully everybody in your crew knows what they're doing, knows how to do every position, has the calculator up to dissect. You have a couple of people with a calculator up to dissect. That way, in case the dissection person gets sucked in, of course, you can always just kill yourself and come back out and have yourself rezzed. So that way, if something happens like that, where you are the dissection person and you get sucked in, you just kill yourself, come out, do the dissect, somebody else will get sucked in, and then you'll be set from there. If you have any questions, or if you're still kind of struggling to understand how the calculator works, how some of the shape changes work, if something wasn't super clear in the guide, you can always just leave me a comment, and I'll definitely try to do my best, as long as your question is relevant to something specifically in the guide, of course, to get to you, and try to make sure I clarify that for anybody that's having some struggles. If you have like a specific thing that your crew keeps failing on, just put that in the chat, and I'll kind of go over it and see if I can identify what's keeping you guys from getting it done. But other than that, thanks very much for watching to the end. I'm going to have the full run here past this so you can see what a successful run looks like. You can see where the knights are positionally, why it's important not to have people killing your knights or running your knights away and stuff, and then how to handle fixing an issue, because in our run that we got it done, we had to fix 2 issues, one on the outside, one on the inside, in order to just get past it. It didn't go smoothly at all, and we still got that run done. So sometimes the run you get done is the most scuff run as it is. But thanks very much for watching, guys. I appreciate all my subscribers, and I'll see you guys in the next guide video. All right, I'm dissecting. What's the
triangle, circle, square.
Triangle, circle, square. Okay. That's absolutely a cone.
Circle's good already. I've got 2 circles. So.
I need to get rid of triangle, giving triangle to triangle.
Yeah, I got 2 triangles. Let's do it.
Okay, I got 2 squares. Yeah, we're good.
Are we distributing now?
Yeah, we're distributing. The Rasputin shell is 3.
Hold on, we got an unstop.
Crown of Tempest is 2.
Crown of Tempest is 2. Okay.
Top heavy warlock is the bird is 6.
6. I'm jumping on 6.
You said Rasputin was 3, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm coming. Cylinder.
Who doesn't have a triangle? Is there? D-Rack?
Yeah, I don't have a triangle.
Alright, I got you. There you go.
Okay, is everyone good?
I'm good. I'm done.
I'm good.
Just come out when
good
y'all are
too.
ready.
Alright.
I just have to kill my ogre and then get knights again.
Oh my god, that throw.
Coming out.
I'm also coming out.
I'm
You ready
out.
for unstops?
I'm out.
Okay, get in your positions.
Uh,
Okay, I know this is Horny Hunter. Where's it at?
Horny Hunter's 1. Horny Hunter's 1.
I know this is John. Speaker helmet.
Yeah, speaker helmet. That is over here on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4.
Thank you.
Crown of Tempest is 2.
Okay, that's perfect.
Whose is the, is top heavy the trials one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright, that's gonna be this one right here.
Alright, we good. Dope. Nice job, guys.
Alright, round 2, baby. Let's do this. Alright, I'm dissecting again.
Triangle, circle, square.
Triangle, circle, square.
Triangle, circle, square.
Okay.
I'm already ready. I got 2 triangles.
I've got 2 circles. Wait, yeah.
I got 2 squares.
Alright, cool. Let's just start dissecting. Got lucky. No, not dissecting. Let's start separating.
Distributing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's dope.
When you say you had 2 of the same symbol, are you talking about like the from your knights that died?
No, on the back wall.
On the back wall. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I'm
That
good.
means you're ready to distribute.
Alright, I'm good.
Good timing. We'll be able to just grab and go after he's done.
Yep.
It's up to you guys. I'm still
Alright,
dissecting.
who has the trials shell? Horse shell.
That's top heavy. Who?
Where's top heavy?
Pick up butthole.
Where's top heavy?
Tempest is. Let me double check. It's 2. Tempest is 2.
Butt heavy is. It's already there.
Titan is 3. The Rasputin shell is 3.
Who has butthole shell?
That's
Someone look like a
dragon head. Dragon head.
Yeah, Dragon Head's 1. Dragon Head's 1. Dragon Head's 1. Okay.
I know where to dump down.
Titan's 3.
I'm grabbing the last ghost right now, guys. Alright, I'm dumping.
Okay. Are we good to leave?
Yep.
Yeah, I have sought free.
I'm coming out.
Good stuff.
This is 2, right?
Yep.
This is the second one. Yep.
You ready for the unstops?
I don't think
I'm not
everybody's
out
out yet.
Yeah, I'm leaving now. I'm out.
Okay. Getting in your spots. Get in your spots. Don't bunch up.
See if we can do the horny hunter first. So I'm an odd one out.
Okay. Nah, I don't have time. Alright. Butthole. Butthole's
That's
the
the
warlock.
dragon helmet.
The dragon helmet. Yep.
Dragon.
That's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.
5. Okay.
Tempest is 3. Tempest is 3.
Top
Horny Hunter
heavy
is 2.
Horny
top heavy's
hunter.
4.
Horny hunter.
2.
Top heavy's 4. Top heavy's 4.
Titan is 1. Titan is 1.
Titan.
Titan with
Okay.
the weird helmet. With the weird helmet.
All right. Last one.
Nice.
Good shit. Good shit.
Dude, weird helmet. Come on, man.
That makes sense. I knew what you were saying.
Well, now, it's a little rude.
Sorry, I didn't mean it like that.
All right. All right. I'm getting in there. You're gonna have to dissect.
Ryan, I think that's up to you.
Oh, fuck. Oh,
All right.
It
No.
is,
No. It's okay. No. It's okay. I'll
triangle,
kill
circle,
myself.
Square.
Just res me. Just res me.
Yeah, I got you.
Triangle, circle,
I'm being
square.
taken.
Yep, that's fine. That's
Triangle.
fine.
I'll tell you if
Circle,
it changes. Triangle, circle, square still.
Okay. We're all
I
good.
have triangle, circle on my back wall.
Prism. Sphere.
John, the right knight is following me. Sorry.
Okay, who needs a
Prism,
triangle?
sphere.
I need
Anyone need
a
triangle?
Left.
I need a triangle dingo, but the left side. Left
Got
side
you.
catch me.
Giving you a triangle.
All right, I'm ready. I'm set.
Mine still says mine's double circle. I'm good.
All right, we good?
I'm not there yet. Let me see. I believe so. Let me make sure. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right, start distributing.
Where's the triangle knight? Did you kill him?
No.
Oh, he's right here. He's right here.
Okay. Ogre's coming out.
Gotta give a square to middle. Okay.
All right. Who's got the trials ghost?
I
Horny
can't
Hunter?
see right now.
I've got Butthole Ghost. I don't know who that is.
I have Horny
That's
Hunter. Horny
dragon.
Hunter's 1. Horny Hunter's 1. Horny
But,
Hunter's 1.
but old ghost is the dragon.
Butthole.
Dragon's where?
Dragon is
Nope.
6.
Wrong one.
Dragon is 6.
Horny Hunter's 1.
I got the horny
You
hunter.
didn't have the right shelf.
I got it. I got it cleaned up. What the fuck?
Horny Hunter is 1. It's
I put it in one. What? Did I? Oh, did I pick his ghost up? Hold on. Hold on. This goes to 1. This other one comes here. I'm sorry. I rezzed him instead of picking your ghost up. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
All right. We're clean. We're clean.
We got it.
I'm done on the outside. You guys take your time on the inside.
Yeah, I
Whole minute 16.
saw. Top heavy warlock still needs a circle.
Circle. I also need circle on the left.
I have circle, triangle, square.
Wait, not left. Sorry, right. Circle right.
You need a circle right? Okay, I'll try and get you something. I can
And a
send you
circle left. You need a circle left too.
Yep,
Okay, I'm sending you a circle right.
I did it. I'm good.
I have to kill ogre. Trying to get another knight. I see a knight. Okay, I have a circle. I am sending it to left.
Okay. Grab
And you
your.
gotta quickly
grab your
build your
symbols.
shit.
Okay,
I'm
I'm
picking
good.
up my triangle.
Leaving. You got time.
Yeah, you got a whole 20 seconds. Just get that ogre nuked.
Kill my ogre. I made my shape.
Bolt out.
8 seconds.
I'm here.
Hell yeah. All right. Let's
No,
get.
no,
Let's,
just need to do the
let's
ghost
get the
thing
ghost
now.
quick. Yeah.
Lock in, lock
Spit
in.
it out when you see it.
Horny Hunter's gonna be up at the front, so just do me first. It's so fucking easy to see mine.
Oh, we got 2 ogres. We got 2 ogres up still.
Okay.
Uh,
I've got.
Ground Tempest.
I've got the trials ghost heavy. Who's heavy? Heavy top heavy.
4. Top heavy's 4. Top heavy's 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
I can get the. Who's the hunter? Who's the hunter?
Crown of
Who's the
Tempest.
Horny Hunter is 1.
Crown of Tempest clear.
Horny
Crown of
Hunter's
Tempest.
1.
Crown of Tempest is 3. Crown of Tempest is 3.
Titan is 2.
I got the Titan. I'm putting it in 2.
All right, we're good. We got it.
Yeah, we good.
Hell yeah,
Good
guys.
shit, boys.
Finally,
Kill that fucking
free.
witness.
I
Fuck
am.
this encounter so much.
I'm sorry I freaked out on the third one. I can do it. It just I was not trusting myself to do it in such a
No,
high
you're
pressure
good,
situation.
dude. You're good. We
No,
got
I,
it.
I would
We're
rather have the calculator do it and not have to think about it. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
was just like, nah, let me just do this. real
I'd
quick.
like to learn how to do it without the calculator, but I'm just not there yet. I
Fellas,
haven't done it
that
enough.
was a hell of a recovery inside, guys. Good job.
Yeah, that was two
Dude,
saves.
that is the like most. Like every time I've tried to do this encounter, it never made sense, but that actually makes sense now. Of like what the fucking end goal to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like on the inside specifically.
Yeah, you know how to
'Cause
fix it now.
That always perplexed me. I'm like never really click, but it clicks now.